Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and this is the after week 3 power rankings. Now we're 3 weeks into the season. We start to get a little bit of a remnants of what teams can be. It's still early. I want to preface that it's still a bit early. It's been a bunch of upsets. It's been some comebacks. It's been some blowouts. But it is time to rank each team and where I think they are positioned right now at this point of the NFL season. But before I get into that, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as it always helps this channel can grow and it beats the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subbed, go ahead and click that sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the videos that I post. But it's time to get into these power rankings. Without further ado, let's dive into it. As usual, we have the S, A, B, C, and D tier. Let's just get right into it. First, we have the Arizona Cardinals coming off of a loss to the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to put them at a C tier. If you guys are new or if you guys don't know, I've not been a big believer in this Cardinals team. Outside of the comeback, this Cardinals team has not looked good so far this season. Defensively has not looked great. Offensively, they've struggled to find any bit of consistency and any rhythm. So I'm going to put this Cardinals team in a C. And I'm going to put the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to put the Atlanta Falcons. This is tough, but I'm going to put the Falcons at a C tier. I'm still, like I said, I think they're still one of the worst teams in football. They're still not a very good football team. They ended up coming and winning against the Seattle Seahawks, but the Seahawks are not very good either. So I don't have too much expectations or rankings for this Falcons team, so I'm going to put them in a C. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens coming off of a win against the New England Patriots, where Lamar Jackson went off for 5 total touchdowns. I still have this Baltimore Ravens team at an A. I still believe that Lamar Jackson is playing out of his mind. The Ravens need to pay him. This defense has played a little bit better, but I'm still believing in Lamar Jackson. I was one that used to criticize him for his throwing, but he's gotten a lot better this year. Next is the Buffalo Bills. I still have them at an S tier despite the loss to the Miami Dolphins. I still have them at an S tier. I still believe this team is primed for many wins and great success. So I'm going to put the Bills at an S despite the loss and despite the injuries that they went through to the Miami Dolphins. Next is the Carolina Panthers. They are a tough team to grade, to be honest, because they have spurts. This team has spurts. So, for the Panthers, they're coming off a win. I'm going to put them at a C tier. I think they should, to me personally, I think they should be better than what they are. Defensively, they should be better than what they are. Offensively, I thought Baker Mayfield would help them, but he's not helping them the way I anticipated. So I'm going to put them in a C. Next is the Bears. This is probably the toughest team to rank. Outside of my bias, because against the Texans, offensively, especially in the passing game, it looked terrible. It looked terrible. Defensively, they had their moments. They created some turnovers. I'm going to put the Bears in the mid tier. They are 2-1, but they're not a good 2-1 at all. And this is coming from a Bears fan. They are not a good 2-1 at all. Offensively, the passing game has been horrendous. Passing game has been horrendous. Justin Fields has not played his best football yet. I still believe there are things to come from him. But they squeaked out a win against Houston, and it's hard to watch this passing offense. Next, we are going to the Cincinnati Bengals. They get their first win of the season against the Jets. So far, I'm putting them at a B. And the reason I put the Bengals at a B this week, that offensive line is still bad. Despite all of the changes that they made, that offensive line is still bad. Joe Burrow is going to probably turn into Andrew Luck if they don't get this offensive line together. They have potential to possibly repeat as AFC champions. They've had potential for that, but that offensive line has just got to get it together. Next, we're going to take the Cleveland Browns. They got a big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night. They looked like a really good football team. Defensively, they played very well. Offensively, Jacoby Brissett looked pretty solid against the Steelers defense, even though they were without TJ Watt. A Steelers defense that is a very formidable defense. So I'm going to put the Cleveland Browns at a B. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to put them in a B as well. They, offensively, even though CeeDee Lamb has his issues with drops, they looked a little bit sloppy. Cooper Rush missed a few throws against the Giants on Monday night. Defensively, they looked tremendous. They were creating turnovers, getting out to Daniel Jones, DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons. That defense has been very formidable, and I think that is the reason that this team is 2-1. Offensively, there's still room to grow. There are still things that they need to correct. Dak is not back yet, but defensively, this team is at a B, and it's for the defense. Next is the Denver Broncos. This is another tough team to grade. Coming off of a win against the 49ers, be honest, I'm going to lowball the Broncos. I'm going to put them at a C. This team should be a ton better than what they are. This team should be a ton better than what they are. Russell Wilson has not looked very good. That's for starters. They cannot move the football consistently. The coaching decisions are very, very questionable. Defensively, they have their moments, but this offense should be a ton better than what it is. And for my expectations of the Broncos and to where they stand right now, that is the reason I'm putting them at a C. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. This team is a lot better than what their record says. This team is a lot better. They're coming off a tough loss to the Minnesota Vikings, but this team is much improved. I'm going to put the Lions at a B. This team is much improved. They rebounded from their week 1 almost blowout defeat to the Eagles. They've recovered very nicely. They've been playing some really tough football. So I'm going to put the Lions at a B. Despite the 1-2 record, this team has looked very much improved. Shout out to Dan Campbell. He's doing a very good job with this Lions team. Next is the Green Bay Packers. I hate to do it, but I'm going to put them at an S tier. They just found ways to win. The receiving core has not been great. They've had some injuries as well, but the running backs and Dillon and Jones have carried this offense. They have carried this offense, and this defense has been creating turnovers. This defense has been getting out of the quarterback, creating some havoc. So I'm going to put the Packers in the S tier as much as it pains me to do that as a Bears fan. Next is the Texans. I'm going to put them at a D. This team did not look the best against the Bears, even though both teams didn't look great. Offensively, the running game has been their strength for the most part. Davis Mills had some throws he missed. Davis Mills had some plays to make it, didn't make them. And to be honest, that Texans team was close from winning that football game if it wasn't for an interception by Roquan Smith. The Texans, I love the way they're coached by Lovie Smith. They fight, they play hard, but this team just does not have the talent right now, and they're just not a very good football team. Next, we have the Colts. I'm going to put them at a C coming off of a major win against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Colts have been one of those teams, kind of like the Texans, even they're both tied, that has just not lived up to any of the expectations. Well, not like the Texans in that realm, but the Texans, and as far as in not just looking good at all. This Colts team has just not looked good at all. They pulled off a major upset win against Kansas City. Matt Ryan, I think, is a little bit of a shell of himself. Defensively, I think they're carrying a little bit of this Colts team. Offensively, they have to find the rhythm. Jonathan Taylor has been explosive for them, but they just haven't got it all together because coming into the year, I thought they were the best team in the AFC South, and it's not looking like it because of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the way they just totally blew the doors off of the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Chargers were a team coming into the year that had some Super Bowl aspirations, and the Chargers looked terrible. The Jaguars made that team look terrible. The Jaguars are very, very much improved under head coach Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence has looked very good. That defense has looked surprisingly great. So I'm going to put the Jacksonville Jaguars at a B. Despite the loss to this Chiefs team, despite the loss to Indy, I'm still going to put them at an S. I still believe they're a very good football team. Any given Sunday, I still believe that the defense could be their downfall at some point. Offensively, they missed Tyreek Hill just a tad. They haven't been as explosive. They weren't as explosive against the Colts defense, so I'm going to put them in an S. I still only put them in an S. The Chargers, I'm going to drop them down to a B. They're coming off of a bad loss. That was a terrible loss. The Chiefs lost. They made some mistakes, crucial mistakes down the stretch that cost them that game. And they just looked bad against the Jacksonville Jaguars team. They lost Rashawn Slater for the year. Keenan Allen has been out. But this team has just looked bad. Mike Williams, with only one catch. That team has looked bad. Justin Herbert is dealing with some injuries as well. That defense is dealing with some injuries as well. But it looked bad against Jacksonville. Next, we're going to have the LA Rams. I'm going to put the LA Rams. I'm going to put them at an A tier. Stafford still struggles a little bit with turnovers. They got to win against Arizona. I can't put them at an S just yet, mainly because I just say that offense outside of Stafford and Kupp has just not looked great. The running game has been so hit or miss, but that's always been a thing with Sean McVay and his play calling. He tends to get away from the running game. So I'm going to put the Rams in an A. The Raiders just look bad. The Raiders just look bad. This team, I hate to do it. This team has just looked bad. They let a comeback win against Arizona. Defensively, it wasn't really a great defense coming into the year, and they just looked bad. They expected that offense to carry them, and that offense just hasn't done enough to carry this team. The Raiders, my opinion, should be way better than what they are right now. They have just not looked great under Josh McDaniels these first 3 weeks. They just not look good. The Dolphins, I'm going to put the Dolphins at an S. As much as it sounds kind of crazy, that Dolphins team, they're for real. Tua, we all know what happened with all that concussion stuff, but Tua and that offense has just looked real. Defensively, they've looked good. This Dolphins team has looked good. I think they are one of the surprises. I didn't expect them to be 3-0 at this point. I didn't expect them to look this good offensively at this point either. They've been really good. Next, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to put them in an A, mainly because I have the Lions and the Bears there, and I think they're a step above them. Minnesota still has some things to correct. They almost let the Lions team beat them. They have their woes a bit offensively and defensively at times. But for the sake of this, I put the Bears and I put the Lions at B. And I think the Vikings are better than both of those teams right now, despite the close game against the Lions. So I'm going to put them at an A. Next is the New England Patriots. I'm going to put the Pats at a C. Losing Mac Jones doesn't help. And his team it had some moments against the Ravens, but they just could not pull it out. Defensively, they have not looked the best. Offensively, they've had their struggles, especially in the passing game. And it's going to spell possibly trouble down the road for this Patriots team with Mac Jones being out for multiple weeks. Next is the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them at a C. This team, Jameis Winston just has to stop turning the football over. That, I think, is the biggest downfall of this Saints team. They cannot just give away the football like that. They probably have a 2-1 record if it wasn't for the Jameis Winston turnovers. It wasn't for the Jameis Winston turnovers, this team may be a 2-1 football team. So, and maybe undefeated. It may be undefeated if it wasn't for the turnovers. The turnovers, the defense has looked so. They have their moments, especially against Tampa, but offensively, they just had to hold on to the football. Fumbling and interceptions has been the downfall of this team. Next is the Giants. They're 2-1, but that offensive line looked terrible last night against the Dallas Cowboys. That offensive line looked bad. Daniel Jones did not look great either. And that offense, outside of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones taking off with his legs, ineffective. They have to get together offensively. Defensively, they were able to make some plays. They had their moments. Offensively is going to be the downfall of this team. And I think Daniel Jones is the big part because the passing game has not looked great. Although the receivers haven't been great either, and they just possibly lost Sterling Shepard for a longer period of time. Kenny Golladay has been ineffective. This Giants team is at a C. Next, we have the New York Jets. I'm going to put the Jets at a C as well, but they improve. They come in every game and they fight. And especially they're doing this with a backup quarterback in Joe Flacco. The Jets, I still think they have room to grow. They're still a young football team, but they play hard and they play with an intensity that Robert Saleh preaches. Still young, they're still learning how to win, but this Jets football team is not a bad watch anymore. Next, we're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to put the Eagles in an S. This team has, despite their league, I don't think their schedule has been very great. They played against the Lions, they played against Minnesota, and they played Washington, the Commanders. They haven't had the toughest of schedules up to this point yet, but you have to win the games that you're supposed to win, and this Eagles team has done that. Jalen Hurts is looking like an early MVP candidate. Miles Sanders in that running game has been stellar. A.J. Brown has been, I think, a huge add to this team, and Devontae Smith is that dude. And defensively, getting out the Carson Wentz and sacking him 9 times, that defense, still a very formidable defense with Darius Slay. I think one of the better shutdown corners that we have in football. That defense and that offense, it just has this team actually just really clicking right now. Next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate to do it, but I'm going to put them at a C. I hate to put the Steelers at the C, but is it time to panic? Is it time to panic? Offensively, they just haven't looked great. They do miss the presence of TJ Watt. They had their moments against Cleveland, but they just were not able to pull that football game out. Offensively, they have to target Freiermuth more, in my opinion. Deontay Johnson has to catch the football consistently. He does make good catches, but it has to be consistently with him catching the football. Chase Claypool has to be involved more. The running game, I still think, needs a little bit of improvement. They need to be a little bit better in that, but I hate to put the Steelers at the C, but they're a C. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks, and they are taking a dive from week 1 against Denver. And I think that was more Denver being bad than Seattle being good. So I'm going to put the Seahawks at a D. Geno Smith is coming back to earth. He's coming back to earth. Defensively, they've had some injuries, mainly with Jamal Adams. This team is coming back to earth. Next is the San Francisco 49ers. I'm putting them at a C. Defensively, they're still stellar. Offensively, it's just, this is not there. It is just not there. Jimmy G looked terrible. Now, credit the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense is solid, but that offense just has to get it together. They had some injuries, and now with Trent Williams down, this 49ers team could possibly be in some trouble, and I hate to say that. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am going to put them at an A for now. I've had them at an S. I'm going to drop them to an A. Mainly, they have some injuries. Mike Evans was, of course, suspended last week. Defensively, they still look great. Offensively, they just have not found their rhythm yet. Offensively, this team has not found their rhythm yet, and it's hard to say that with a team led by Tom Brady. They have not found the rhythm. Next is the Tennessee Titans. I'm still not a big thing on this Titans team. Derrick Henry finally got going. He finally got going, and if he's not going, then the Titans aren't going anywhere. Defensively, they've had their moments against the Vegas Raiders, and this Titans team, it started like 2021. That number 1 seed was a fluke. It was a fluke. And the next team and the last team is Washington Commanders. I'm going to put them at a C as well. To get Carson Wentz sacked 9 times, your offensive line was bad. Defensively, especially in the first half, looked bad. I think Washington should be better. A little bit better than what they are right now. You thought Carson Wentz would have added something to this team. I never was one to believe that. But this Commanders team has just not looked great. It's not looked like a very good football team. But I'll just leave this like this. This are my rankings after week 3. Leave this video a like, as it always helps the channel to grow. Comment you guys' thoughts about my rankings down below. I would love to see what you guys think. And as always, click the sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.